let's draw where all we need to dodge it.
Wow, this looks like an whole other person. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Curious Minds podcast. Today, we're doing something super cool and creative. We're going to walk you through a complete photo retouching session in Photoshop. And this one's special because it's not just about fancy tools or pro level stuff. It's about simple steps anyone can follow, make their portraits look amazing. Now, before we dive in, here's the photo we'll be working on. Alright, looks like we got a nice portrait, but with a few things we can fix to make it pop. And of course, I'm not doing this alone. I've got Trisha's Belman with me today, who's going to be showing us all the editing magic. Hey Trisha!
Hey Kshithij, super excited to do this. Photo retouching is one of my favorite things to do in Photoshop because small changes can make a big difference. Now before we start, let me share my screen so you all can see what I'm doing and follow along. Alright, now that I've shared my screen,
let me interrupt you here. I have a question for you. Can you tell us what Photoshop actually is? Like, what does it do and more?
Sure. So Photoshop is a software made by Adobe that lets you edit and create images. You can do all sorts of things like fix skin, change colors, add text, or even combine different pictures into one. It works by letting you control every single pixel, which is like the smallest dot in an image.
Okay, that makes sense. But wait, what exactly is a pixel?
That's a good question. A pixel is the smallest unit of a digital image. It's basically one little colored square, like maybe this one over here. You can see all of these are colored squares of either same color, little similar colors, or completely different colors. And they all combine up to make a final image like this. Isn't that so beautiful and amazing?
Yeah, true. Okay, now that makes me excited to actually change some pixels.
So Kshithij, what do you think we should change first?
I think the first thing that we should do is clean up the acne. That usually makes the skin look more clear right away.
Absolutely. So for acne removal, what I like to use is the patch tool or the spot healing brush tool. So before we do anything, let's make a copy of our layer so that we can later see how much progress we have done. So let's just duplicate it by pressing Ctrl or Command J. And now I like to use the patch tool because it's my favorite tool to do all these types of things. And now I can just zoom in the image and fix all the simple and obvious ones. So you just select around one blemish and just move it down. Like that. You can see it has replaced that area. Now let me keep on doing this for the other areas too. Like this.
Wow, it's working very well.
Yeah, you're right. Look, we're almost done with this area. You just need to select it like this and select some clean area which you can replace it with. But make sure it looks similar or else you'll face some issues with blending it. For some close ones, I like to just select a big bunch of it like this because it's just easier than manually separately selecting them. Right, Kshithij?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So as you can see, we have the small blemish near her lips, right? And using the patch tool, this won't turn out that well, right, Kshithij?
Yeah, true. Because it's like in the lips background and also skin background, so Photoshop gets confused.
Yeah, you're right. That's why what I like to use in these type of areas is the spot healing brush tool. So I just dab near that area. And there you go, Photoshop has fixed it. And most of the time, it's pretty good.
That's true.
Now, because I'm in the spot healing brush tool, let me just use it to fix some other areas like these. Now, as you can see, Kshithij, acne removal takes a little bit of time because you have to manually do it, right?
Yeah, true. You have to manually do it for each acne, right? And especially if you have a lot, it will take a really long time.
Yeah, you're right. But there's one technique that you can use to do it really easily. I should have done that when the acne was in this area, but let me just show you somewhere over here. So what you can do
Okay.
is, once you select one acne like this, you can hold shift, select another one, and then another one that's nearby, and then you can just pull them all together like this. And you can see all of them
Wow.
at once end.
Yeah, this is way better than manually selecting each one, right?
Yeah, you're right. That's why I should have done it in this area. Now let me just clean up the forehead
Okay.
like this. And over here. And you can see there's this big strand of hair that's come in her forehead, right? Do you
Yeah.
think I should remove that?
Yeah, I think let's remove it.
Okay, so let me just hold shift. Select it up like that. There you go.
Wow. That's nice. Nice. The skin already looks cleaner. Now, I think we should lighten up the dark circles under the eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Dark circles can make someone look a little tired, right? So now the way
Yeah.
I do that is using frequency separation. Now if you're wondering what frequency separation is, then frequency separation is divided into two parts. One is low frequency and high frequency. Low frequency contains the color information of your image, and high frequency contains the texture information of your image. Now in this case, if we were to remove the dark circles, we'll have to paint new colors on the low frequency layer. And the way I do frequency separation is by using one action. Now you can choose to do it manually as well, but that would take a little bit of time. So I like to use this one action that I have. Okay, so let me head over to the actions panel. And here, because my image is 8-bit, I have to choose the FS 8-bit, but I like to use 16-bit because it reduces the banding of the image. And to change this 8-bit image into 16-bit, what I can do is go to image over here, mode, and 16 bits. Now I can press FS 16-bit and play the action. Now you can see it asks me to set the Gaussian blur. This is asking you how much color information or color detail do you want in the low frequency layer. Now let me just adjust it a little bit. I think 9.5 is perfect for this image. You have to make sure to choose your own value because not all images have the same value, right? Now let's press OK, and you can see even with frequency separation added, the image is exactly the same thing. That's because this is the low frequency layer blurred out, and let me just show you the high frequency layer. This is the high frequency layer. Now before we get into adjusting the low frequency layer, if you see, she has some wrinkles of the dark circles right over here near her eye, right? Now if we just directly go into editing the low frequency layer, then the dark circle wrinkles will still be there. That's why I'd like to remove it first in the high frequency layer using my favorite patch tool again. So let me just select that area like this and just sample a similar area. Looks pretty okay. And I think that's enough. Let's see if we can do it on the other side somewhere. There you go. I think that's okay, right, Kshithij?
Yeah, now the wrinkles are gone.
So now let's set the dark high frequency layer back to linear light. And now we can start painting. So create a duplicate of the low frequency layer. Just keep a copy. And now using the brush tool, let's start painting manually. Now just like removing the acne, because you have to do this manually, it takes a little bit of time. So let me just take some nice skin colors and just paint over here. let me set the floor to 100 so that it gives more strength. Now make sure to keep pressing Ctrl Z to fix your mistakes, because while doing this type of painting process, you tend to do a lot of mistakes. Right, Kshithij?
Yeah, true. I do a lot of mistakes while removing dark circles.
Yeah, especially because you need to do them all manually. So as you can see, I've painted on top of the dark circles to make them look disappeared.
But Trisha, doesn't this look a little odd?
Yeah, you're right, Kshithij. It does look a little odd because while you're manually painting it, you tend to overdo it a little bit. So what I like to do is, I like to later create an inverted mask and paint using black and white to decide which all areas I want this new painting to be on. So for that, let me just hit this mask icon and while holding Alt. Now let me just paint over here where all I need it. There you go, Kshithij.
Yeah, now it looks good. Can we compare the before and after?
Yeah, sure, Kshithij. So let me just hide this entire frequency separation layer and hide it. So before, after, before, after.
Wow, there is such a big difference. The after looks so much better.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, now I think we should shape the face a little bit. So let's do some dodge and burn.
Great choice. Dodge and burn is like makeup for your digital image. It lets you add highlights and shadows to create depth. Now for this girl's face, you can see it doesn't have that much of depth, right?
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't have that much depth.
Yeah, so that's why we are going to use dodge and burn. So for that, I like to use curves. Let's create a curves layer. And first we're going to create the dodge layer. That's why I just move this curve up like this. But that much is enough. Let's name it dodge and invert the mask. Now let's create another curves layer for burn. And this time just move the line or curve down. Now don't go too extreme or else it will blow out the shadows. As you can see, it's blowing them out when I go too extreme. So let me just keep it about that much. Now let's name this burn and invert the mask. Let's start out with the dodge. For this, you have to use the brush tool and make sure you're using a hard round brush, because for dodging and burning, you're going to feather it later to see the magic. Now let's make it size about that much, and let's draw where all we need to dodge it. So first, maybe over here in her forehead. Next, near her nose, on top of her nose, and then on top of her eyelids, just like a sparkle. Then we have to create a Y. That's on smoothing. A Y like this. And this side we can't create that much of a big Y. Now we need a little bit above her lip. So I scale down the brush. And now let's make it a little bigger and keep it on top of her chin. And I think that's about enough for dodging. Now let's do the burning. First, I like to do over here something like this. Now, if you know how to do makeup, then you can just use your normal makeup rules about how you do the dodging and burning or contouring and highlighting. But I just like to do like this. And also, a personal preference, I like to keep one line under on the neck so that it's a little darker. And now I think we'll just add one highlight here. Nice, right, Kshithij?
Yeah, it looks a little weird. Could you tell me why you're doing all this? Like, one of them is a Y, another one is a K. Like, wwhy are you doing all this?
Here I'm just trying to design the face. You're just trying to sculpt it. So where all you put the shadows and highlights or the dodging and burning, that's where it shapes the face. When you add the burning, it darkens that area and tries to model it. When you're using dodging, you try to brighten that area to form and show the highlights. And that's why you can do this in any way you want. Normally, if you search in Google for how to do the dodging and burning, they put a Y near the cheeks over here.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a cool way to do it, yeah.
Okay, now, ready for the magic, Kshithij?
Yes, what is it?
Now, let's increase this feather slider here by pressing on the mask. Okay.
Whoa! Can you increase it even more?
Sure.
I don't like the white and everything is still visible. Okay.
Just one thing to tell, Kshithij. I think we forgot to do one more burn design that was near her eyes. So, can we just quickly do that?
Yeah, sure.
So, you have to draw it something like this. And similarly on the other side. Now, let's feather the burn. Okay.
Wow, that looks so nice. Can you make the dodge even more feather?
Okay. I think we should also reduce the opacity of the dodge a little, I think.
Yeah, true. It's destroying the details of the face.
Yeah. That's
Wow, this is such a nice glow up from before.
Yeah, shall we just see the before and after, Kshithij?
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you.
So let me just group it. And now, this is before, this is after.
Wow, this looks like an whole other person basically.
Yeah, that looks so nice. I'm just admiring its beauty.
Yeah, true. Looks so nice. Alright, now let's have some fun. How about adding some lipstick?
Yeah, sure. I was eagerly waiting for the lipstick right now. So there are two nice ways and easy ways we can add lipstick. First is by using curves and just darkening the lips. This is perfect if the model already has some light lipstick. The second way could be to use solid color and just add some blending options. Which one would you like, Kshithij?
I think we should use the darkening method because I think the color of the lips is already fairly good.
Okay, that's fine. So let's add another curves layer. And what we're going to do is first we're going to mask out her lips. Now there are two ways you can do this again. One is using some selection method like the polygonal lasso tool or the lasso select tool or the quick selection tool, any way you want. Now I like to do it manually because it's just a lot of fun. So let me just quickly do it manually. And remember, this is just a personal opinion. If you are in a hurry, then I'd recommend using some of the selection tools. So now, because I won't be able to see where the change is being applied, let's quickly do the change. So let's bring down our curves line. I think about this much is perfect for our lips, right, Kshithij?
Yeah, this looks nice.
Now let's invert the mask and let me draw on top of her lip. Now remember, you can refine the selection and mask later as well. And make sure to remove out the extras.
Sorry to interrupt you, Trisha, but can I ask you how you inverted the mask?
To invert the mask, you can press Ctrl or Command I.
Okay, thank you for the tip.
There you go, Kshithij.
Wow, it looks nice, but I think it's better if we make it a little bit more lighter. Just a tad bit would make it perfect.
Sure, so let me just refine this one area I noticed.
I also wanted to ask you, if you made a mistake while using the brush tool, is there any way to remove just a singular part of that? Not pressing Ctrl Z, is there any other way?
Yeah, you can just press X to go to black and just paint out that area.
Alright, okay.
So now, like you said, let's just reduce the darkness because you were right. It's a little too dark. Is this good, Kshithij?
This is better. Yeah, this looks really nice now. Portrait is starting to look amazing.
You're right.
Now I think just one more thing is needed to be fixed. The teeth looks a little bit yellow in my opinion. So it would be really nice if you just made that white.
Yeah, you're right. I was also noticing it's a little too much yellow, right? So to fix that, so now let's add a hue saturation adjustment layer and select her teeth, which selects the yellows. And let's expand the selection a little bit, like that. And now we have to desaturate it. You might notice that her skin is also becoming white, but we'll later mask out only her teeth. So you don't need to worry about that. Now let's invert the mask and just paint on top of her teeth. For this also you can use lasso select or any selection tool, but like I said, I like to do using just the normal masking methods, which is just using our favorite brush tool.
Honestly, Trisha, I think it looks a little bit too grey. It would look perfect if you just made it a little bit more white.
Yeah, you're right. I agree. It just looks pretty odd, like she just added some random stuff to her teeth to make it so grey and white. So let me just to do that, let me first increase the brightness or the lightness or increase the saturation. Is that good, Kshithij?
Yeah, now it looks a lot more natural and not Photoshop. Yeah, now it looks so good. And that's it. We just retouched the whole portrait step by step. And this is how it looked before and this is how it looks now. Big difference, right? We removed acne, added lipstick, whitened the teeth, and retouching and burning. It's amazing how small tweaks can totally transform a photo.
You're right, it really is. And what's great is once you learn those steps, you can do it on any photo. Just practice and have fun with it.
And big thanks to Trisha for showing us all these tricks today. And if you do try any of these tricks, let us know which trick was your favorite in the comments